Good evening, everyone. It's Suzanne Shirley, Senior Ruby Ambassador here, and we are studying the 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth with John Maxwell. We have finally gotten to chapter 9, which is the Law of the Ladder. Each one of these chapters truly is more and more revealing about things that we need to work on for ourselves. In fact, I'm just going to be honest with you. I know I'm a MLM rock star in my own right. But I will tell you this, studying John Maxwell, studying anything makes me feel like I have so far to go. So far to go. But I take heart in the fact that I know, and that if you are in network marketing and you just happened across this video, if you're watching and you're on our team, you need to understand that the long-term vision and commitment that you have in network marketing is going to produce a financial wall that you can build around your family, and that it's a lasting wall, and it will be there for decades to come. And a lot of us know that the work that we put in right now, the hours that we put into network marketing now, we don't really get paid for all the work that we do, especially in the front end. I finally reached a point in my network marketing experience, career, I guess you could say profession, where I feel like every month I'm paid way more than what I do. I've finally gotten to that point. I know that I work like a diamond. I know that I do the work of a diamond, but I don't get paid like a diamond yet. So does that make sense? I'm sure it does if you think about it. We all that are, if the ones of us who are committed, the ones that see the vision, that understand that the long-term commitment is going to mean long-term gain, where 10 years from now, you will be living like you never dreamed you would live before. You'll be living a life that others have only dreamed about, but are not willing to do the things necessary to live that life. So I really do think, and I've heard this said so many different ways and so many times, but so many people overvalue the time span of a year in network marketing. They expect too much out of 1 year, 1 year's worth of hard work, but they undervalue and have way lower expectations over what 5 years or 10 years will do in this industry, in this profession. Because in 5 years or 10 years, especially in Plexus, if you are in our company, which is Plexus Worldwide, our compensation plan is so generous, and we are paid so overly we're overly paid, generously paid, royally paid, that I really believe that it's so liberating of a compensation plan that we can achieve the highest ranks in Plexus in a way shorter time than you can in other network marketing companies. Because I've looked at other compensation plans and they don't compare, just in my personal opinion. So I'm just speaking off the cuff here before we get started. Just wanted to encourage all of you who work so hard, that we're working in the trenches. I know I do that. I will spend an entire day on the weekend, like from 10 in the morning till midnight. And I'll take breaks to eat and go to the bathroom and take a shower. And that's about it. And there are other days during the week that I do the same thing. And even though I'm receiving quite a big paycheck compared to when I started, you know, I know that it's not a diamond paycheck, but I'm doing diamond work. I literally am out there digging for gold in the so-called proverbial backyard, whether that means your warm market, whether that means the internet, whether that means going out in society and talking to people out and about. That's your backyard, whatever it may be. And I'm just here to encourage you, stay the course, believe, know that what you're doing is fruitful, know that consistent effort applied over time will bring you success. You know, you can't fail when you don't quit. You won't fail when you never give up. So I want you to think about the 5-year or the 10-year mark. And I want you to think about what that's going to mean to your life, your future, your family. Where are you going to be in 5 years? Where are you going to be in 10 years? If you keep doing what you're doing now and you never stop and you never give up and you don't lose heart and you put blinders on and you don't look at some of the rock stars in our company that just seem to have it made, whether it be people skills, talent, whatever the case may be, an amazing network. They started out with this huge network of friends, whatever the case may be. Those things we may not have, each one of us. We have different talents, different skills that we bring into this. But what we can be assured of, what I can promise you that if you dig in to personal growth and development like we are doing tonight, and you do not make it a side project, you don't just show up on Sunday night to listen to my call, but you read books on your own and you take notes and you start getting ideas to train your team and you start getting things in your head and your mind and your heart straightened out that you never had straightened out before. And you start to learn and get a grasp on concepts and ideas and skills that you never had before, or you improve the ones that you already had. I'm telling you, you are investing in yourself. And when you invest in yourself, you're investing in the future and the longevity of the financial stability of your family. I am not kidding when I say that. I am not kidding, okay? I believe with every single fiber of my being, I do that. When I listen to videos sometimes of certain jewels, some of their ideas, some of them are sort of normal and the ones that we've heard over and over before. And then others will blow me out of the water. And I will take nuggets from what they say because I'm intimidated by all the things that they're doing right. And I feel like sometimes, well, I'm not doing all that. My team's not doing all that. And here's what I know. We can learn from the ones who are doing incredible, stellar things. We can learn from them. We can say to ourselves, there's nothing different about them than us because it's the truth. But we can also stop comparing ourselves to those people and really just believe in ourselves, believe in what our life mission is, believe what our vision is, believe what our work ethic is doing, and our own personal growth and development and our journey is doing. And we can have confidence that these things that we are doing are ours. They're our special journey for us that God designed specifically for us. And when we embrace that and we stop looking at other jewels or other people that are seemingly doing things effortlessly, making it work in so many different areas, not just one area, but many different areas, because I listen to some and they intimidate me. I will be honest with you. I am not going to make errors about it. I am not the rock star complete, etc. Right? I am a rock star, but I am not the top rock star. I'm not a diamond yet, but I do the work of the diamond. And as long as you know and you believe in yourself that you are doing the work of a diamond and you consistently do it, then you can make it. So I've just kind of touched on a few things that I wanted to say before I get started tonight. I want to encourage all of you to believe in yourselves, to invest in yourselves, to invest in personal growth and development, to not make it a side project, to not just here and there. Sunday night, show up for the call. I applaud you for showing up on Sunday nights. Those of you who show up are live on the call are committed 100,000%. And I want to applaud you for that. because there is a whole bunch of people that are not doing that. No offense to them, okay? Because they're going to maybe watch this later. Maybe they can't schedule their time around this, whatever the case may be. I'm not judging them because they are independent ambassadors and they are the ones that are in charge of their own business. We are not in charge of them. But I want to applaud those of you who are consistent, who show up every Sunday night. You don't make excuses. You don't have other things planned. You plan your life around growing with the team on Sunday night. And I applaud your efforts. I think it's fantastic. So I just wanted to say that to you guys tonight. Okay, let's get started. The law of the ladder. Character growth determines the height of your personal growth. Okay, the statement underneath that is pretty incredible. Achievement to most people is something that you do. To the high achiever, it is something that you are. Achievement is not something that you're going to do. It's who you become. A high achiever is who you have to become. Okay, I'm going to text my husband real quick, because if I get up, I will look like an idiot in front of my video. I need some water, and I didn't get it. So, okay. He will bring me something. All right, so the story of Jerry Anderson. Jerry Anderson. His story is a testament to how character growth determines personal growth and how personal growth leads to personal success. Okay? Personal growth will lead you to success. You have to believe me. And you have to believe John Maxwell when he says so. Okay? Let's talk about ambition without any guidance. This is Jerry's story. He began working in factories. He wanted to do more with his life than spend his career in a secure job and collect a gold watch. Thank you. When he retired, he wanted to be a success in business. So he left his factory job and he set off on a career as an entrepreneur. His first venture involved selling precision tooling manufactured in Japan. Jerry's first business then failed. He wanted to try it again. He didn't believe in being a failure. He then started a network marketing venture. He failed at that when the state investigated the organization and then shut it down. So he failed the second time. He started a classified ad newspaper, and for 3 years he gave the business everything he had, but still it was failing. He went to see this guy named John Schrock, okay? A man that one of his friends looked up and partnered with in business. So John Schrock confided in him that he based his business dealing on values and principles. Values and principles. So these, John said, taking a small homemade book out of his jacket pocket, he said, it contains sayings taken from the book of Proverbs and sorted by subject. So remember what he said, values and principles. The book of Proverbs in the Bible. Think about it. We've all read the book of Proverbs. Most likely all of us have. We know that it's a list, a litany of values and proverbs, right? All right. It's incredible. You must think right to be a successful business person. You must have that executive mindset. In order to be a success, you have to think like a successful person. You have to think like an executive mindset. Like you are the executive CEO of your business, and you have to think that way. So to be a success, you have to think like a success. And he got together with 5 or 6 other people, and they committed to meet together once a week for an hour to study the principles in the little book that John had given him. He was intentional about his personal growth, and it did not take long for his life and his business to change. He was intentional about his personal growth. It did not take long for his life and his business to change. The business, which had always struggled, turned around, and for the first time, it made a profit. He expanded throughout the state of California and was so successful that the company was bought out. When you're successful, other companies want to buy you, right? So he went and started another business. It was a real estate magazine, and he grew it to be the largest publication of its kind in the United States. And then a company from New York bought him out again because he was such a great success, right? The principles started to spread. Then they crossed paths with three men from Guatemala, a dentist, a corporate executive, and an owner of hardware stores. And eventually this company that they formed became known as La Red. And let me tell you, with Spanish, the capital R means the net, like the big internet. Like in Spanish, that's the word for internet, La Red. Little r means like a net that you throw out in the ocean, okay? So basically, it's the net. The net, that's what it means, okay? They were successful in launching roundtable groups very similar to the one that Jerry had started in California so many years before. The groups were encouraged to set a time to meet each week. Think about what we're doing here. A time to meet each week, okay? Discuss a principle. Discuss a principle of value, along with its characteristics and benefits. Evaluate themselves on where they stood in that area and commit to taking specific action to change and improve it. The following week, they'd hold each other accountable for their commitments and then discuss the next principle, and so on and so forth. Over the course of the year, they would tackle the subjects written on page 141. And when I looked at that list, I was blown away. Studying these topics are incredible. Restraint, generosity, hard work, motives, honesty, patience, humility, productivity, dependability, temper, attitude, facts, goals, planning, boundaries, proper thinking, common sense, prosperity, emotions. Emotions can destroy you if they're not controlled. Sowing, direction. Sowing is in planting seeds, not like sowing, like S-E-W, right? Direction, correction, conflict, pressure, criticism, judgment, confrontation. Very necessary, right? Forgiveness, not only of others, but of yourself. Ethics, ownership, ambition, listening, co-signing, responsibility, debt, saving, developing people, understanding people, inspiration, and influence. Think about that. If you start to study these topics over time, which you will if you keep studying books and you keep reading books on personal growth and network marketing, if you continue to do this, you will get around to all those topics. And let me tell you something, you will be the most amazing success. You will be the most incredible version of yourself that you could have ever been. You will be very self-developed. So word got out about the success that they were doing in business, and La Red was invited by the dean at a large university, and that the values were taught began to change the culture of that university. So these values now were being taught in the university, changed the whole culture of the university. The university's board asked that all incoming freshmen be taught the same values. So today, between 12 and 15,000 students each year go through that course, in which they are taught those specific values and principles. Can you fathom young people being taught those values and principles? What good that would do for the world? Investing those things in young people? La Red introduced character development and values to 143 prisons. Get that. Holding 75,000 prisoners, and the culture began to change there. A year and a half later, the murder rate went down dramatically. And there were reports that some of the prisoners actually said that they wanted to be more like guards. Can you believe that? mean, that is like an oxymoron. That like doesn't happen, right? But it's as a result of studying these values and principles. Certainly, the prisons had not become pleasant places, but they had changed. To ask La Red begin training military troops in character development. That was the next thing that the Colombian military asked them to do, was to train the military troops in character development. So currently they are helping people in 44 nations in character development. So character growth determines the height of your personal growth. When you grow your character, your personal growth raises. The ladder of that raises, okay? Without personal growth, you will never reach your potential. Never. Do you see why I preach this so much and I harp on it so often? Because I'm beating it into myself. And if I'm going to do that, I might as well do that with this team, because I don't do anything without you guys and you don't do anything without me. We need each other. So the value of character. Professors James Krause and Barry Posner, if I said that name right, has spent more than 25 years surveying leaders in virtually every type of organization, in which they ask, what values, personal traits, or characteristics do you look for and admire in a leader? The results, they report, have been striking in their regularity over the years, and they do not significantly vary by demographical, organizational, or cultural differences. Notice that none of that affects the results. Where they live, cultures, organizational things, and what quality is most admired in leaders? Guess what? Honesty. Honesty. You got to be able to trust that person. Honesty. So, the quality that most enhances or damages personal reputations is honesty. People want to follow leaders of good character. No one likes to work with unreliable people. When I tell you I'm going to be on a Zoom on Sunday night, by golly, I'm going to be on a Zoom on Sunday night. When I tell you that we're going to have an activity, we're going to have an activity. When I tell you that we are going to have a meeting, we're going to have a meeting. When I tell you that we're going to have an event, we're going to have that event. If one person shows up, I'm still having the event. If no people show up, I will make a video and put it on the team page of the event. I don't care what I have to do. I do what I say I'm going to do. That's one thing I can say about myself. Okay, you can trust me. You can depend on me. I will do what I say I'm going to do. Who do we have to rely on every day? Who do we have to? Ourselves. You got to rely on ourselves. If you cannot trust yourself, you will not ever be able to grow. You won't. You got to be able to trust yourself. Good character with honesty and integrity is at its core is essential to success in every area of life. Without it, a person is building on shifting sand. So Bill Thrall asserts that people that focus on their professional capacity without developing their character, and is almost always cost them in the end. Developing professional capacity, like doing more work, expanding what they can do at work, expanding their skill at work, whatever that may be, without developing their character. Always cost them in the end if you do that. It costs them their personal relationships and often their career. He likens it to climbing a long extension ladder that lacks the proper support. Think about a ladder like that. You got to have support the longer it goes, right? The higher the person climbs, the more wobbly and unstable it can become until the person climbing it finally falls down. Norman Schwarzkopf, we all know who he is, retired general. 99% of leadership failures are failures of character. 99% of leadership failures are failures of character. Think of all the examples that we know in today's society and in modern history. Failures, 99% of those times, are failures of character. A lot of them. Think about that. I don't even need to name any. Most people focus too much on competence and too little on character. Competence over character. It's a big way to fail. So the law of the ladder, character growth determines the height of your personal growth. We now know that personal growth is pivotal and is absolutely imperative to your success. Without personal growth, without personal development, you will not become the best version of you. So how do you invest in personal growth? You have to invest in character growth. You have to grow your character. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't want to get into some details, but I've had to work on that. Okay, I'm just going to be honest with you. I've had to work on my character recently. Okay? Because you cannot lead a team and have some little thing in your character that's faulty. You better get that fixed, because you won't be leading a team for long. Okay? Those people will go to other people, right? And so I'm just being honest with you. I'm going to work on every part of myself, and usually I'm very hard on myself. I'm extremely introspective, and I'm very, very critical of myself. So I don't want to do that too much, but I'm just telling you, I have to learn how to forgive myself as well. But what I'm saying is I've had to work on some character issues, 1 or 2 recently. Just had to work on them. I've always known that they're there. I just have had to work on them recently. So what are the rungs to your character ladder? There's 5 things, okay? Number 1, focus on being better on the inside than on the outside. This one hit home when I read it. Oh boy. Focus on being better on the inside than on the outside. Good news is that if you focus on being better on the inside than on the outside, over time you will also become better on the outside. It's just going to catch up, okay? And I think at one point he mentions, how much time do you focus on buying yourself things for the outside of yourself and fixing things on the outside of yourself? How much time and money do you invest in that? At some point he talks about that in the chapter. So I won't get ahead of myself. The outside influences the inside. Sorry, the inside, take that back. The inside influences the outside. What we believe in our soul really matters. We reap what we sow. What we do or neglect to do in the privacy of our daily lives impacts who we are. Behind closed doors. What we do in the privacy of our daily lives impacts who we are as people. If you neglect your heart, your mind, and your soul, it changes who you are in the outside as well as on the inside. So your outside is going to be affected. Inside victories precede outside ones. So when you can get a hold of or get a grasp of or have victory over a certain area in your character, that precedes outside victories, and you will have victory outside of yourself and success outside of yourself when you get a success on the inside of yourself. If you do things that you need to do when you need to do them, someday you can do the things you want to do when you want to do them. In other words, before you can do, you must be. I'm going to say that again. It's so powerful. If you do the things you need to do when you need to do them, then someday you can do the things you want to do when you want to do them. So before you can do, you must be. I've heard this statement so many times. I don't want to get ahead of myself. I think I quoted it someplace else in this book. I think it's a few pages over. Okay, moving on. Next thing, our inside development is totally within our control. We often cannot determine what happens to us, but we can always determine what happens within us. Okay? When we fail to make the right character choices within us, we give away ownership of ourselves. When you fail to make the right character choices within yourself, you give away ownership of yourself. We belong to other people, to whoever gains control of us. And that puts us in a bad place. How can you ever reach your potential and become the person that you can be if others are making your choices for you? So, if you want to be successful, you must prioritize building your inside ahead of your outside. Focus on your inside. Okay? Think about child actors. Think about those people. Think about all the child actors that we know through the decades who have come to nothing, some of them dead today. They didn't pass 30. They didn't pass 40. They didn't hit 35 or 25 even. Their stories are often so sad because they focused on the externals of life instead of building internally to give themselves a strong foundation when fame and fortune came and stole their lives, basically. Number 2, here's the big number 2 out of 5. I will follow the golden rule, says John Maxwell. People matter. Follow the golden rule. What's the golden rule? Do unto others as you would have others do unto you. Here's a simple rule. Rule of thumb to guide your behavior. Ask yourself what you want people to do for you. And then grab that initiative and do it for them. What would you have people do for you? Then grab the initiative and go do it for people. Okay? It prompts you to focus on others and it leads you to be empathetic. When you're empathetic, you can relate to people. People will love you and you will gain trust with them. You take the high road, and if you stick to it, especially when it's difficult, you cannot help but become the kind of person others want to be around. Number 3, the third thing out of 5, I will teach only what I believe. Passion matters. Teach only what I believe. Do you know what they call a speaker who teaches what he does not believe? A hypocrite. I can't imagine teaching something, even in a classroom, that I did not believe in. I can think of all sorts of things that I would hate to teach because I don't believe in them. Concepts of all sorts. So early on, John said, I vowed to teach only what I believe. Borrowed beliefs have no passion, therefore no power. So individuals who lack principles and passion become very beige people, very vanilla, just beige, bland, right? Don't ever want to become one of those people, ever. Number 4, I will value humility above all virtues. And when you hear a person who is humble, when I can hear humility from miles away. And I know that if you value humility, you will be able to detect it too. You can also detect arrogance and conceit and vanity and narcissism just as plainly as you can detect humility. And it is so refreshing when we hear a humble heart, someone who admits their frailties, right? John says, I think anyone who's honest with himself realizes that he falls short of where he could or should be in life. Absolutely. Andy Stanley, the famous pastor and author, says, I've concluded that while nobody plans to mess up their life, the problem is that few of us plan not to. We don't make plans not to mess up our lives. That is, we don't put the necessary safeguards in place to ensure a happy ending. So how do you put the safeguards in place? How do you do that? Well, several things. Let me tell you the things that you do. There's 5 things you do to put the safeguards in place so that you can have a good life, right? And ensure a happy ending. Remember the big picture. Remember the big picture. That's the first thing. John F. Kennedy kept a small plaque in his White House in the Oval Office with the inscription that said, "Oh God, thy sea is so great and my boat is so small." So if every person and leader of the free world of any country, right, can have that perspective, think about what kind of world we would have. Putting that in perspective, the greatest leader of the free world says, the sea is so great, my boat is so small. How am I going to do it all? Right? Knowing that you're not all that in a bag of chips, right? Number 2, recognize that everyone has weaknesses. Rick Warren says, how to remain humble. This is how you do it. suggests admitting our weaknesses, being patient with others' weaknesses, and being open to correction. Being coachable, right? That's number 3, be teachable, coachable. John says, I love being around people who have a beginner's mindset. A beginner's mindset. What is that? They think of themselves as apprentices instead of experts. And as a result, they have a humble, teachable posture. They try to see things from other people's perspective. They are open to new ideas. They possess a thirst for knowledge. They ask questions and know how to listen. And they gather as much information as possible before making the decisions that they need to make. And John says, I admire such people and I try to be like them. Absolutely. We need to always be teachable and coachable, no matter how successful we become. The 4th way to ensure a happy ending is to be willing to serve other people. Putting others first right sizes our egos and our perspectives. If you're a leader, then you especially need to remember that this because you can get used to being served by others and come to think that you're entitled to it. One of the greatest recent memories that I have, and I'll remember this forever when I heard it, is that Chris and Susie McCall gave up their suites that they had at the Gaylord Resort to people on their team so that they could stay at the Gaylord, who earned the retreat, right? They earned a retreat, but they didn't have the nice room. They were put at a hotel across the street from the resort. And Chris and Susie did not want their team to feel like they didn't earn it. So they gave up their rooms at the Gaylord at the resort, and they let some of their team members stay in those rooms. And they went and stayed at the hotel across the street. And they didn't advertise that. In fact, I shouldn't have even found out. It was told to me by somebody that found out about it. And they don't advertise that stuff. They're very humble people, and they know how to serve. They understand what a servant heart is. In this book called Winning the Answers, Jack and Susie Welch, the reason why I'm going to read this is because we all know people like this. People that swell. They use the word swell, like puffed up chest, arrogance, vanity, conceit, and narcissism. We know what those words mean. Here's how they describe it. We all know these people, and they are many to be found. People who swell develop all sorts of unappealing behaviors. They're arrogant, especially towards their peers and their subordinates. They hoard credit and belittle the efforts of others. They do not share ideas except to show them off. And they do not listen very well, if at all. Bosses can spot these team-killing behaviors a mile away, and so it is no wonder that those with power and authority around you, as you put it, have consistently worked against you. You may be very smart and deliver stellar results on the job, but your swollen personality is the kind that undermines the morale in any organization and ultimately can really damage performance. We can all think of individuals that have been in our lives like that, in our work careers, for example. How does a person who is used to winning remind himself that it's not at all about him? Well, simply by serving other people. Serving others. And finally, the 5th way to ensure that you have a happy ending is to be grateful. To be grateful. Consultant Fred Smith, who was John Maxwell's mentor for many years, said the biblical phrase sacrifice of thanksgiving was a puzzle to me until I realized that gratitude is acknowledging that someone else did something for me that I could not do for myself. That's being grateful. Gratitude expresses our vulnerability, our dependence on others. Think about when you are grateful to God for something. He did something for you that you could never do for yourself. Therefore, you are grateful to God. I can name things every single day that he does for me that I could never do for myself. So people who do not stay grateful do not want to be indebted. What does that mean? People who do not stay grateful do not want to be indebted to other people. pretty much. A Chinese proverb says that those who drink the water must remember that those who dug the well. Got to remember those people that dug the well for you to drink the water. There are no self-made men or women. As Confucius asserted, humility is the solid foundation of all the virtues. Humility, the solid foundation of all virtues. We need to strive to stay humble. And how do you stay humble? You serve other people and you stay grateful, right? Okay, the fifth thing in our 5 things that I said we were going to study, the 5 things on the rungs of the character ladder. This is the 5th rung, okay? Basically, to die trying to do it, right? You're going to endeavor to finish well. Strive to finish well at all costs. Keep building character and living at the highest standard until the day you die. To do the right thing, John says, I do not wait to feel like it, because you're never going to feel like doing the right thing. Your body doesn't feel like it. Your mind doesn't feel like it. You don't want to do it. We're naturally born to do the wrong thing. We have to fight off the wrong thing just to do the right thing. Even though we, inside our good part of us, we want to do the right thing, but it's natural to just do the wrong thing, right? So I recognize that emotion follows motion. Emotion follows motion. So you have to get some action going, and then your feelings will follow it. So do the right thing, and then you end up feeling right. Do the wrong thing, and then you feel bad. If you take control of your behavior, your emotions will fall into place. So start controlling your behaviors, and your feelings and your emotions will come into place, okay? If we focus on personal character, we make the world a better place to live in. If we do that our entire lives, we've done the best thing that we can do to improve our world. So I always have heard this from my Sunday school teacher, so I can't take credit for it because maybe he got it from someone else, but I have to give him credit. He always said, do what is right because it's right until it feels right. Do what is right because it's right until it feels right, because it's never going to feel right, okay? You'll feel right once you do the right thing. So the stronger the character, the greater your growth potential, and here's the ending of this, okay? Pulitzer Prize winning author Alexander Solzhenitsyn, that's German, right? Spent 8 years in prison during the Soviet era for criticizing Joseph Stalin. Think about this. He went to prison for criticizing Joseph Stalin. He went to prison an atheist, but came out a person of faith. And I remember reading this, and I cried. Going to prison hardens so many people. There's no guarantee that you're going to come out on the other side of it a person of faith. So my personal belief in my own heart, and because of reading the Bible, I believe that that was a supernatural act of God that converted the man's heart, that made him soft to the truths of God and opened his eyes to the truth of the gospel, and that it opened his heart and his mind and his ears to the truth as well. And that to me is salvation. That's supernatural. That's something man can't do. So he spent 8 years in prison during the Soviet era for criticizing Joseph Stalin. He went in an atheist. He came out a person of faith, and the experience did not leave him bitter. He was not bitter. It left him feeling grateful for the development of his faith and the strengthening of his character. He was grateful for being in prison. Can you imagine that? I bless you, prison. I bless you for being in my life. For there, lying on rotten prison straw, I learned the object of life is not prospering, as I had grown up believing, but the maturing of my soul. He realized that the value of his soul was more important than his body. A scripture comes to mind. I know I'm always on this Christian thing. Fear not those, I'm going to screw it up. Fear not those who can destroy the body, but fear the one who can destroy both the body and the soul in hell. So he realized that his soul was way more important than his body. And he developed himself, and he became a person of faith. So personal growth means more than expanding our minds and adding to our skills. It means you can't just expand your mind and learn new things. It means increasing your capacity as a human being. It means maintaining core integrity, even when it hurts you to do it. It means being who you should be, not just being where we want to be. It means maturing our souls. Okay, and I have to read this because it's so profound, and I'm trying not to get emotional. I'm emotional, but I'm trying not to be a crybaby here. I love this, okay? Physician and author Orson Swett Marden described a successful person by saying, he described a successful person by saying this: he was born in the mud and died marble. This gives us an interesting metaphor to use to look at various lives. Some people are born mud and they remain mud. Sadly, some are born marble and die mud. Wow. Some are born mud, dream of the marble, but remain mud. But many persons of high character have been born mud and died marble. Isn't that a wonderful thought? I hope that it can be said of me, says John Maxwell, at the end of my life, and I hope the same for you. So I'm going to ask you a few questions because it's really important that we ask ourselves these questions. You need to assess where you have put most of your focus. Here it is. This is what I remember. You need to assess where you've put most of your focus up until this point in your life. Has it been on improving the inside or your outside? Compare how much you spent in the last 12 months on clothing, jewelry, accessories, and so on, versus how much you spent on books, conferences, and the sort of thing. Okay? Personal and spiritual growth versus activities related to appearance. Think about those things. Exercise regularly. Examine what benefits you are striving for. Think about those things. Do they relate to the inner health or the outer appearance? Not that it's wrong to exercise. Why are you doing it? To look better or to have better health? And I think that it's okay to want to look better, and because when you look better, you feel better about yourself. So don't get me wrong. I'm not dissing looking better and exercising for that reason. But when you exercise, you cannot just do it for that reason. You have to do it because you know that your life is inside of you, your heart, your organs, and they need to be exercised. Your heart and your veins, your vascular system, it needs to be, your muscles, they need to be exercised. So if your assessment reveals more of an outward focus than an inward one, then determine how to shift your focus by adding time, money, and attention to the things that will make you grow, even if they do not show. What did I just do? Okay, I spent some money at Mastermind. I bought this thing by Hilda Saleh. She's a Norwegian gal, and she's at the top of her company. Duplication Nation by Randy Gage. Incredible. I have to say it's incredible. 90 Days to Win by Orion Sally, which is Hilda Sally's husband. He's at the top of the company. More Randy Gage. I bought books, several books. I spent some money. I just paid off that credit card, by the way, this month, but I spent that stuff on. That was not getting my nails done. That was not makeup and new clothes. Have I spent money on that? Absolutely. But I value growing myself. I value the conference that I went to. I value Mastermind. It was very expensive, but it was worth every penny. I came out a different person. I'm telling you, we've got to invest in ourselves. Do I say that you've got to go and spend a ton of money and pay off a credit? That's not what I meant. I mean that we need to evaluate, where do we spend our time and our money? Is it on the outside or the inside? Number 2, plan to spend some time in the coming months to regularly serve other people. Another idea is to set aside at least an hour every week for volunteering someplace. And number 3, oh my word. I said, oh my word. When I wrote that out there, oh my word. U.S. Senator Dan Coates said, character cannot be summoned at the moment of crisis if it has been squandered by years of compromise and rationalization. The only testing ground for the heroic is the mundane. The only testing ground for the heroic is the mundane. The only preparation for that one profound decision which can change a life or even a nation is those hundreds of half-conscious, self-defining, seemingly insignificant decisions made in private, behind the closed doors. Habit is the daily battleground of character. Your habits, the daily battleground of your character. It was so hard to teach that concept to my students. What you do every single day, these little things that you do, getting to class on time, bringing your things, being responsible, staying organized, getting your work done, being prepared for the lesson, all those things. I'm like, it's not just for nothing. And it was hard to get them to understand that just showing up and sitting down in a chair and breathing air in and out for 55 minutes, that's all they needed to do. That's what they were thinking. If I just show up and I sit in this chair and I look towards the front of the room, some of this is going to seep into my head if I do that for 55 minutes. No, I could not get that point across. Not to all of them. Some of them finally got it, but there are so many that just like looked at me like I was crazy, that they have to do all these little things in addition to showing up to class. So what are you doing? Last part. This is it. What are you doing every single day to develop the habit of character growth? What are the things you're doing? Are you giving attention to your soul? Are you doing hard or unpleasant things? Getting out of your comfort zone. Are you practicing the golden rule and putting others ahead of yourself? Your character is not set. You can improve it. It's never too late to do so. You can change who you are and your overall potential by becoming a better person. And that's where we're going to end tonight. I pray that you answer those questions for yourself, that you learn to grow your own character. When you grow your character, you grow yourself. And when you grow yourself, you become successful. It is inevitable. It is going to happen. Okay? That's what I have to say. Peace out. Thank you for joining us, and see you on the flip side.